Hello, everybody, and welcome to the view from my watchtower. I really do hope you enjoy the view from here. I always watching. Today, I looked down and I saw a man building a snowman, but he was building it out of sand. And I could tell when he got done with the sandman that he was really tired and worn out and just fell asleep right there next to it. So, yeah, that's the kind of things I see up here sometimes. Today, I'm wanting to come to you guys because Feast of Trumpets has gone by. The rapture has not come. I was a person who, of course, was hoping for the rapture to happen, but it did not come. But as I said, if you watched my previous videos, that I didn't think that the Feast of Trumpets was going to be that day. And I still believe very heavily that November 14th or 17th will be our target days if it's going to happen this year. At least the start of the tribulation would be those days. And what I want to do also here is go back over some of the things of the first video I did and talk about why I think that is. Now, this year was very exciting for a high watch time for the Feast of Trumpets, likened unto 2017, where we had the Revelation 12 sign. Everybody thought for sure that had to be the rapture, but it didn't come then. Now, this year we kind of got a Revelation 12 sign where we had the comet or asteroid, whatever it is, that was named Child. It is named Child, that for a brief amount of time left the spot where it's been all this time hovering around and decided to come in and enter Virgo's womb and then come back out to park again for another how many thousands of years. So it was very interesting coincidence. I don't really think so. I think God orchestrated that. So I do think that something is very, very soon now. The other thing that got people very excited this year was because of the UN summit meeting. Now, this was, I guess they're getting together, or they got together on the same day as the Feast of Trumpets, and they're trying to put together a 7-year plan. And a lot of the things in the plan just look very end times this sheet. Is that a word? End times this sheet? And they even call it the No One Left Behind plan. So, and it's also 7 years long, and we know that it's a 7 year. Well, I don't know if you can call it a treaty. It was a 7 year plan that um, the Antichrist is going to make better at some point in time. So, a lot of the watchmen that were expecting the rapture to happen on the Feast of Trumpets and tying it also to this UN summit meeting, I think they were kind of thinking that the signing of that plan on that day was going to be the start of the tribulation also, which I was hoping for the rapture still, hoping, praying. However, I knew that that wouldn't be the start of the tribulation because, well, I've gone through it in my last videos and we're going to do it again on this video. So I know the tribulation is not going to start till November. And that's going to be true for whatever year it comes. Yeah. So we've got this year and then a few more years if it doesn't happen this year. But I really don't think we can go any longer. I don't know. I think we're just right there. Now, I'm not going to mention other names all that much on my channel, but there is a YouTube channel called Soothe Keep, and I think his name is Ray. Okay, I forget his name now. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, He really sucked a lot of the blessed hope out of me in one of his videos here recently, where he talked about 2030 second coming and 2023 rapture. Is that a good theory or no? And he really kind of tore it down, and he's on the camp of AD 33 cross, which then would be a 2033 return of Christ. And he gave a whole lot of good ideas. Lee Brainerd, that's his name. A lot of good ideas. And, I'm going to listen to that video in more detail. Um, but um, I'm really clinging to a 2030 second coming. That's what I really, really hope is going to happen. So there's another video that I watched, and I don't even remember the name of that channel, that gave very good arguments for an AD 30 cross. And now, in my previous video, I had a checklist of things, and these are things that we know about how God has operated already in the past, and then things that we know about that are in the Bible that talks about the end times. So Jesus fulfills the 7 feasts of Israel. He's already done the first 3. That would be Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits. And then Pentecost was also fulfilled. That was in the upper room. We have the last 3 to go. And if God does things in the same way he already has, and why wouldn't he, then he's going to fulfill the last 3. And it sure looks like to me, well, let's pop up this first screen here, is the Feast of Tabernacles fulfilled by Jesus beginning his millennial reign. Okay, that's what I believe. It's not what I believe, though. It's what God has in plan. So God's plan, is it God's plan that Jesus fulfills the Feast of Tabernacles by establishing his millennial reign? That would be the start of a new 1,000 years after these first 6,000. So I believe, of course, that that is true. Now, the second one here is the Day of Atonement fulfilled by Jesus' second coming. Again, I believe very strong yes, makes very much sense. And it's in keeping with the way God's done things. And just like the first 4 feasts, each one was fulfilled on the very day of the feast. So, Feast of Tabernacles, that very day, new millennial reign. Day of Atonement, that very day, Jesus comes back, his second coming. So, with those 2 things established there, do we have the correct dates for those feasts for the years 2030 up through 2033, which I believe is the limit for how long we can wait now? Well, I do think that we have pretty much the right dates, but they probably could be off a day or 2, depending on when they see the sliver of the moon and whether that even affects atonement and tabernacles. Are those still going to be fulfilled right on the full moon and then 5 days later? And it's just the Feast of Trumpets that has to waver until that first sliver of light on the moon? I don't know how that works, but I do know that that being the 6,000th year, that's a Jubilee year, and Feast of Trumpets is going to be on the same date as the Day of Atonement. Therefore, he'll be fulfilling both of those on that same day. I do believe, as I said, that we have the correct dates for those feasts. Now, I haven't put them down on here, And that's something I may do on a future video if I can get a little graphic made for that. I don't want to show my messy notebook page. So then the fourth question that we want to ask, the fourth thing on our checklist, is the tribulation period 2,520 days in length. Now we know this from Daniel. We have two sets of 1,260 day periods back to back, forming that 2,520 day tribulation time. Also, that's 1 week, the last week of Jacob's trouble, also in the book of Daniel. So I do very much believe tribulation 2,520 days. Now, there are some that want to use the 1290 that's mentioned around these verses and the 1335. I believe those run concurrent to these 2,520 days. As a matter of fact, I think the 1335 brings you to Hannukah. And I think it's trying to think of the name of his channel. Okay, I'm not going to be able to think of Trumpet Blow or something like that. Uh, he made a very good video, and I think I might put a link to that video if I can find it down in the description because he also did some things with applying a lot of what I'm saying here, but he also took that 1335 and I think he got it to Hannukah. So it was interesting. Now, the last question that I'm putting on here, what is the last day of the tribulation period? Okay. So it could be the day right before Feast of Tabernacles. So that'd be the day right before we change over to the new 1,000 years. That's when I believe it's going to be. But it's possible that God will count when Jesus steps down on his second coming as the last day of tribulation. And then the following 4 days will just be, I think, probably Armageddon and things associated with that, and maybe not counting towards tribulation, just an in between period, and then the tabernacles where the millennial reign will start. So one of those two dates should be the last day of the tribulation. And if all of these things are correct, and again, it's not my judgment, your judgment, any human's judgment, if it's God's plan for these things to all be correct, then our dates for tribulation start, if it happens this year, November 14th or 17th. And that's taking the last day of the tribulation and subtracting 2,519 from it to get the first date. So I'm still holding on to that. Now, the question that I don't have on the screen that I had on the past board was, is the rapture on the same day as the tribulation? Okay. Well, I don't know. But that's what I believe it is. Okay? But it could be sometime before with a gap. A lot of people do believe in the gap. I just still think that with Noah and the flood and Lot and the brimstone, both of those seem to be pictures of the rapture and then wrath of God. So rapture and tribulation. And they were both immediate. So I think it's going to be immediate here too. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. We still have hope for this year. Don't give up that hope. Don't give up your blessed hope. You can go visit Sooth Keep's video, listen to what he has to say about the timing, unless you just really, really don't want to hear that it might not be this year. I don't know how you are with that. I will go back and listen to it. And he is a brother in Christ. I don't dislike him or anything. I've listened to him quite a bit. I just, I felt that this draining of my blessed hope when I listened to that. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this and, give me some feedback. And I need to get this channel up and off the ground some. So, if you could please leave a like and also if you could please subscribe, I would very much appreciate that. And then go back to the other videos, do the same on those. So, until next time. Thank you for taking the view from my watchtower. Goodbye.